Stock markets can go down as well as up, and that's something every investor should know. There will always be movement in a market, but what are the effects on business and the real economy when the stock market suffers a devastating drop in value? And for that, we need to look at the past. The Wall Street crash of 1929 led to at least 10 years of worldwide economic depression. It was the most severe financial crisis of modern times. It came after a period when markets had been booming and shares had been steadily increasing in value.
So on Black Tuesday, the 29th of October, 1929, the good times came to an end. As more and more people sold their shares, the New York stock market went into free fall. By the end of the day, it had lost 12% of its value. By the time it stopped falling, the Dow Jones had lost 90% of its value. It meant that banks failed across America, companies went bankrupt, and individuals lost their investments and sometimes their life savings.
The effects were not only felt in America. Stock markets in Europe and around the world also fell. What followed became known as the Great Depression. Production slowed, factories were closed, and staff laid off. Construction and manufacturing went into decline.
No part of the Western world was left unaffected by the Depression. It lasted all the way through to the Second World War. Luckily, there's never been a global depression as severe as that since then.
However, stock market crashes don't always lead to economic depression. On Black Monday, October 19, 1987, a rapid fall in the Hong Kong stock market spread to Europe and then the United States, where $500 billion were lost in a day.
In 1987, the market losses were the biggest in history by percentage, but the markets recovered quite quickly, so there was no economic depression.
In contrast, in 2008, a different type of economic crisis occurred, a banking crisis that went on to affect financial markets and the global economy. For a number of years, banks in the United States and elsewhere had been giving loans to buy houses to people with poor credit ratings. When high numbers of people were unable to pay their mortgages, banks and their investors suffered losses, and ordinary people lost their homes. This meant banks stopped lending more money. It became known as the credit crunch, and its effect was global.
A lack of credit to banks, companies, and individuals has the effect of freezing the economy. Investment and growth slow or stop, which means recession, job losses, and bankruptcies. Many economies around the world were badly hit. Portugal, Italy, Ireland, and Greece were very badly affected.
Governments around the world were forced to bail out their financial institutions, but it wasn't enough to prevent a global economic downturn. Business leaders were concerned.
We are in the worst economic depression in my lifetime. Economic recession, we're not supposed to call it a depression, yes, but it feels pretty depressing.
Movements in financial markets are part of the normal operation of the economy. When falls are severe, they can have lasting effect on people's lives. But share prices and effects across the whole economy are not always directly linked.
If you look at the history, you see that there have been more crashes than there have economic depressions. The reality is that the financial markets don't always predict how the real economy behaves. By real economy, we mean the parts of it concerned with the production of goods and services rather than the buying and selling on financial markets. One thing you can be sure of in your working lifetime is that you will experience a crash of one kind or another.